Stranger Things has secured its spot as one of, if not the most popular show on television for the past 3 years. It's established a huge audience by creating a blend of genres to appeal to a wide range of people, not to mention being present on the most widely owned streaming platform, Netflix. But despite this perfect formula, the show could have easily gotten stale by the time it reached its 3rd season. In this video, I'll be discussing all the changes made in Season 3 that helped to keep the show fresh and maintain the incredible status it's held since 2016. Stranger Things is a pretty dark show. From the stiff atmosphere of the Upside Down to all the monster encounters that take place at night, the first 2 seasons felt pretty monochrome. It's an 80s show, and when you look up images of the 80s, you'll expect to see lots of neon colors. And for its 3rd season, Stranger Things finally embraced this. From Hopper's Hawaiian shirt to Eleven's colorful new wardrobe, the characters have taken on a much more visually interesting appearance, and this is reflected in the setting as well. Most of this season takes place around Starcourt Mall, whose bright neon lights and various attractions create a much more exciting setting than the dark woods and sterile hallways of the previous seasons. The fair in the penultimate chapter, and the use of fireworks during the finale, firmly established the importance of color in Season 3. Looking back on the past 2 seasons, the quote-unquote villains of the show don't seem that memorable. Sure, you've got the Demogorgon and the Mind Flayer to threaten the protagonists, but their presence isn't exactly constant, and their actions don't always directly move the plot forward. The real antagonists of these seasons were the scientists orchestrating everything behind the scenes. But a bunch of people in lab coats walking around in a laboratory isn't really that exciting and memorable. Luckily, in Season 3, we got a plethora of interesting and sometimes even comical villains. For starters, the Russians. Taking place during the Cold War era, many Americans' biggest perceived threat would have been the Russians. But the idea that the Russian government would bring a military force to a small town in Indiana and set up camp in the shopping mall is both exciting and hilarious. Not to mention the lead mercenary, who takes his entire character from Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Terminator. On top of that, we have a sleazy town mayor who sells out to the Russians, and a sexist board of journalists who eventually become a set of crazed, mind-controlled lunatics. Compared to the almost constant peril and stress of Seasons 1 and 2, Season 3 feels like it brings some much-needed levity to the lives of our protagonists. We get a good bit of character development from seeing the kids hang out at the mall, discuss relationships, and generally do normal kid stuff that we don't see a lot of in the previous seasons. Certain characters like Hopper feel like they've become total caricatures of themselves. Where Hopper was once a lazy cop with a soft spot for the kids, he is now an overbearing father who is constantly losing his mind and making a fool of himself. While the stakes are way bigger this season, it is overall a much more light-hearted tone, and we get to see the characters enjoy themselves a lot more than we did in the previous seasons. All in all, Season 3 was a drastic change for Stranger Things, and it turned out to be a great move, as viewership for the series hit a new record, and excitement for the show continues to skyrocket. Season 4 seems to be taking the show in a new direction yet again, so here's hoping it turns out as well as Season 3.